my friends. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. What a dramatic change in temperature from yesterday, past 4 days, which were all 80 degrees or better, except for yesterday was 78. Today, a marked change. We had a Canadian blue spiky line come through, and the high temperature tomorrow is going to be 56 with sunshine. So, which is still cool for this time of year. But we'll get back to mid 60s after tomorrow. But it's windy tonight. And as we can see right there, there's some geese flying in formation. They're going to be heading the hell out of here. So they're going to be taking off, and they're going to migrate, and they'll come back in the spring. So we just got to see them, and I want to say hi to everybody. Hi everybody, and I hope you're enjoying the walk this evening. Now, I started out this walk wearing that, and I have a hoodie with me, which I'm going to be putting on shortly because 58 degrees right now. It's going to get cooler very quickly. Probably going to put it on up ahead because my arms feel chilly right now, because this long sleeve shirt I'm wearing is not very thick at all. So we will go on with that. Anyways, we're going to walk on. That was weird, wasn't it? I don't know if you saw that. Well, you probably didn't, because I had the camera pointed at me, but he was cutting across the street towards me and then changed direction when he saw the camera. So I have no idea what the hell that's all about. And we are starting to see that tree is turning red like I told you guys it would. Still a lot of green in it. That'll change a couple of days, 3 days. I am going to stop for a second and put this sweater hoodie on because it's breezy tonight and I'm getting chilly. So I'll be right back. Alright, there we go. Presto changeo. And now I have a hoodie. So anyways, my friends, we're going to walk tonight. I don't know what I'm going to get for miles, not really counting. But it is going to be dark by the time the walk is over. I just wanted to come on here and say hello. We got a few things to talk about tonight, including President Trump's roundtable on Antifa. Very interesting. I suggest you go find his stream to watch it. It was live, but it's going to be, you can watch it as a rebroadcast on YouTube. The AP had it, Associated Press, as well as RSBN and some other people as well. Highly recommend that you watch it. Basically, President Trump said a lot of things that are pertinent to Chicago, Portland. Very interesting, talking about how the Chicago elected officials have broken the law. And since they're always professing the rule of law and nobody being above it, Well, we're gonna have to watch and see what happens, because it was very apparent that the law has been broken and something's going to be done about it. So this should be very interesting, especially when President Trump posted on Truth that Governor Johnson, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, the mayor, and Governor Fatso Pritzker should be in jail. So the National Guard is in Illinois, and Illinois has filed a lawsuit to try to prevent it. But if President Trump declares an insurrection, and the Insurrection Act can be used according to the Supreme Court, then they can cry all they want to. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. I'm going to flip the camera around now. I just wanted to say thank you for walking with me today, and we'll talk about these things. What a time to be alive, huh? Incredible. So the other thing I want to talk about is this report of children in Chicago, October 3rd or 2nd? September 30th, that's when it was, about children in Chicago being zip-tied. There has been no official verification of that. A couple of eyewitnesses said that's what happened. But no children were zip-tied like with handcuffs. Oh, sorry about that. So, because nobody was zip-tied with handcuffs, they're not zip-tying children, okay? From what I understand, there was a lot of kids, and if any zip ties were used, they were used to keep the kids tethered to one another using zip ties. And again, there has been no verification of that whatsoever, okay? None, literally. No CNN footage, no cell phone footage. The only footage that has been seen was an activist that was on CNN who showed a false video of a child with zip ties. Beautiful little black baby. And it was a deep fake. It was a real video, but it was a police officer playing with their own kid, their son, putting handcuffs on the kid as a home movie from before this event even happened. So that got a lot of clicks, and a lot of people believe that that child was zip-tied by ICE. And it's not true. It's just like the whipping migrants. Remember that? Border Patrol was whipping migrants on horseback. Do you remember that one? So it's a lie. These people lie. They use fake information, and they do it intentionally to cause the problems that we're seeing. And there's always going to be some people that are going to believe that children were zip-tied. This is what we're dealing with. Just like there's still some people that believe that Border Patrol on horseback was whipping migrants. So nobody has any real cell phone footage, no real photographs. Everybody has a cell phone. You know damn well angry parents in that building would have been videotaping, right? Video recording. Cell phones don't have videotape. But there's nothing. So cannot give it any credibility at all, because people like AOC will come out and say they're drinking out of the toilet when she visited the border. and she grabs hold of the fence, holding her face, fake crying. These people are a bunch of performative buffoons, assholes. Let's just say it for what they are, right? Fucking assholes. Only an asshole would do that. The drinking out of the toilet was prison toilets, where you have the toilet on the bottom part and you have the sink on the top part with a water fountain, and the prisoner gets, so we see some pumpkins, the prisoner gets a drinking fountain and a little wash basin on top of the toilet. They're drinking out of the toilet. So that's all these people do, is lie. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't knee-jerk believe what you hear about what's going on. Trust but verify. Always verify your information. I know today it can be tough. So anyway, the point being, there is no physical proof or evidence that any children were zip tied. Now you have to ask yourself, would they zip tie children? Would they take children that were illegals, born to illegals, while the parents are being arrested? Do you honestly believe that the Trump administration would zip tie children? It's the first question you should ask yourself. The answer to that obviously is no, right? That would be common sense. And if it were done, it would be for a reason. And it would not be small children. It would be 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, maybe somebody that would be dangerous. Maybe they got a vibe when this was going down that something dangerous could happen. Now, a lot of people are like, well, they did paramilitary ops dropping from a helicopter on the rooftop. Yes, they did. They did do that. You know why? Because they're dealing with criminals. The arrest warrants that they had were for very dangerous people. Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Venezuelan gangs, other gangs. And perfect example, you won't see it in the media, but there was a big raid on illegals running a gang in Los Angeles yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. They rounded up and arrested a whole bunch of really bad hombres. Seized weapons, drugs. So this is Trump administration's cracking down hard on these cartels, and the media is helping the cartels. That's what they're doing. Shameful. So anyway, the Antifa roundtable today was specifically about Antifa. So we got a beautiful sunset in the background. I don't know if you can see that far away. These clouds all have nice linings on them, in red and orange. I guess they show up on here a little bit. So anyway, they had a woman that used to work for the Seattle mainstream media, and she used to do live reporting on the scene. She said she belonged, I think it was to a CBS affiliate or ABC. One of them anyway. It was, you know, she had a real reporting job, right? And she was getting upset because they weren't covering the news properly with regard to Antifa. She was out of Seattle, okay? So she gave her testimony today, and she just blatantly looked at the media and said, you know, none of you are going to cover this. It's already a given. You're not going to report this fairly. But I just want you to know that I used to do your job, and I know what you're doing. And she knew that a lot of them feel bad about the lying they're doing. But that's the career they're in, and if they want a career, they're going to have to lie, or they won't have a job. So, very systemic corruption. You know, a lot of these people, if the media would just do a fair and honest job, a lot of this would not be going on today. So think about it. You have the media covering for Democrats, trying to hide violence, any organized domestic terror, because it comes back on the Democrats. Because it originates in Democrat strongholds. A lot of Democrat donors sponsor it, both internationally. Everybody knows, unless you watch the media who lies about it, that Antifa is international. The black bloc, black. They all dress in black, cover their faces. They have the same signs in Germany that are made in somewhere else that you see in the United States. It's all organized, financed. So they're going after from what I heard today, they're going after the financiers, okay? The people funding this. The people funding politicians and telling them to do nothing. Antifa, Trump today said that they're going to look into classifying Antifa as an international terrorist organization. So they're moving up in the world. Trump had them classified as domestic terror, which they are. They're organized, paid by billionaires, funded. A lot of them are paid. You have the same people that show up every night doing the same things. And you have local elected officials who are allowing the protests. You have sound ordinances being violated. They're shooting off fireworks 2 o'clock in the morning. You have veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder living in that area who can't afford to move. They're in public housing. And they call the police. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. People are out there with bullhorns. I can't sleep. What are you going to do about it? Nobody comes. The police are letting them do what they want to do. So, under the Insurrection Act, when there is a failure of local government, okay, I want to be very clear on this, because you're going to see people online saying the Trump administration can't do anything, it would be illegal. The Insurrection Act that was used in Los Angeles passed muster with the Supreme Court. When you have a local government not enforcing laws and allowing chaos on federal ICE officers, that is an insurrection. By definition, because the local government is not enforcing the laws that have been passed and on the books, and in fact they're actually breaking the laws. So you're obstructing ICE, federal officers, from doing their jobs. That's a criminal offense. So they can go on CNN, they can talk about how Trump is bloviating It's peaceful here. There's nothing going on. The people that live there know, okay? They don't care how the crime is stopped. I'm talking about Chicago as well, because the biggest violator is Chicago over Portland, even though Antifa got their start in Portland. But they turn a blind eye to it and they don't enforce the law. That puts U.S. citizens at risk. And they took an oath to the Constitution to uphold the rights of citizens. So when they're doing that, they're not doing their jobs, what they swore an oath to. They have to be held accountable by higher ups. So what that means is now they're going to have to take over federally to protect federal officers, and they will do that. So we see, hi, beautiful dog. I've always wanted one of those, and I understand they're very vocal.
Yes, no, they definitely are. Yep.
So you have to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they're going to need to get on top of this. And the Trump administration has authority to declare an insurrection, to use the Insurrection Act. So whether activist judges stop them or not, they wouldn't be able to. Now clearly, when you have officers, what happened in Chicago, this is very important, okay? The federal officers were being boxed in by activists. One of the women had an AR-15. The officers felt like their life was in danger, so they shot that person in the leg. There's still a lot of people that don't know what happened because the media is not covering it, okay? So I'm telling you. They were traveling in a caravan through the city with their hazard lights on, blinking, as a team caravan of 10 vehicles. And they were driving through red lights, stopping traffic, forcing people to stop, and driving through red lights like they were law enforcement. Now, they didn't have lights and sirens, but they had their hazard lights on, and they were organized. And they cornered some federal agents who didn't have an escape route. They were in their vehicles. So these officers didn't wait to see what was going to happen. They armed themselves, because they're already armed. They drew their weapons, not pointing them at the 10 cars. And then the woman had an AR-15. And that was it. They're not going to wait around and see what's going to happen. They shot her in the leg, try not to kill her, and trying to be humane about it. Point being, when this was going on, and this is where Chicago broke the law, okay? It wasn't over a dispatch. It wasn't a dispatcher saying 10-4, blah, 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 stand down, or anything like that. It was a cell phone call to the police officer that was in charge, who were there protecting federal officers. They were there doing their job, protecting fellow officers. Because they look at ICE or Border Patrol as fellow officers in law enforcement. Whoever it was on the phone, it still wasn't revealed who that was, but it was a higher up, presumably from Pritzker's office, or the mayor, or both. They told the officers to back up, back away, and leave. So these officers were instructed by cell phone, okay, not dispatch. It got misreported as dispatch by conservatives. It's not what happened. Sounds more dramatic. But anyway, it was a cell phone call directly from a higher up saying, back off. Do not assist ICE. So they left. they left the officers there boxed in, which resulted in somebody being shot, okay? Whether that person deserved to be shot because they provoked or whatever it is, okay? The point is, law enforcement failed, didn't do their job, and it resulted in an injury, which could have been fatalities. Because those ICE officers, when boxed in, they have federal authority to eliminate the threat, or threats, plural. All of those people in those 10 vehicles could have been opened up on and all killed in a really bloody massacre, all right? And law enforcement restrained themselves and didn't do that. They should be commended for that. Because their brothers in arms took off because they were told not to help. All right? That's what fucking happened. So, that is also a criminal act. That is obstructing federal ICE officers from doing their job. They were obstructed by those 10 vehicles, and local law enforcement turned a blind eye and did nothing. They were there to help and then they left. That is also obstruction. Dereliction of duty. Because legally, ICE had every authority to do what they were doing. They weren't doing anything illegal. So now that makes the Chicago Police Department breaking the law, whoever gave them that order. Kristi Noem said today that laws were broken. Pam Bondi was at this round table for Antifa also. Said laws were broken. And they weren't talking about what they were going to do about it, like it's some secret, but something is going to be done about it. That's why Trump posted on his social media that the mayor of Chicago and fat-ass Pritzker should be in jail. Legally, anybody, okay, and they said this at the meeting today, anybody that is an elected official that obstructs federal law enforcement is subject to arrest and prosecution. Kristi Noem said today, Kristi Noem, Noem, that's how her name's pronounced, not Noem, it's Noem, said that these people should be arrested. They should be prosecuted. That tells me it's going to happen. And a message has to be sent to these other mayors and governors that they are not above the fucking law. All right, the United States is a constitutional republic. It runs on the rule of law. All right? They always cry about Trump not following the rule of law and all this other crap, and they're the ones that violate the laws. Well, I think they just fucked around and found out Pritzker is not above the law. The only thing that can save Pritzker at this point is him mistaking himself as a big fat jelly donut and he eats himself. That's about all that's going to save him. And the mayor of Chicago instituting ICE-free zones. Well, these Democrats like their free zones, don't they? Just like how Chicago's gun-free zone really worked well, right? So their ICE-free zone is going to work about as well as their gun-free zones. It ain't going to work. It's illegal. So they decided to pick a political fight just because it's Trump. That's all this is about. This is just about Trump. Pritzker wants to fight Trump so he can be in the White House himself. God help us all if that ever happened, which it won't. And Gavin Newsom is also picking a fight with Trump. And he's going to fuck around and find out too. So they can go ahead and say Trump is doing this and that to his political opponents. he's a dictator, an authoritarian. They can go scream that all they want to. The bottom line is the people in Chicago just broke the law. Federal law, felonies. And they're trying to do it on the guise of we're defending illegals and immigrants, brown-skinned people. 70% of the people ICE is going after are criminals and there's warrants. The other 30% are people that are here illegally and they are associates of these people they're arresting. So that's the truth of what's going on. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Go by facts, okay? The media has lost its teeth, which is why they hate independent media. Because the independent media is getting more views, more impressions than the mainstream media now. Somebody that's an independent journalist, like Nick Shirley, go to Nick Shirley's YouTube and his social media accounts, subscribe to him. And he puts himself right in the middle of it with a camera and asks questions. And he's an on-the-scene reporter. If you want the truth about what's actually going on, like in Portland, Oregon, Antifa around the corner from the ICE facility. I don't know who's financing this building, but Antifa lives in it. It's a safe house. So when stuff starts going down at the ICE facility, they run over and they hide the people that committed the crime in a safe house around the corner. All the independent journalists have reported on it. No mainstream media journalists have reported on it. And today was probably the first time it was ever talked about in front of a president of the United States who's going to do something about it. So that's why I urge you to watch the roundtable today. You may find it to be eye-opening. A lot of what they talked about today, I already knew about it because I've been following this stuff for since before the pandemic. All this stuff's not new to me. You know, Antifada, anti-fascist, Antifa. And then you have another faction that are all trans people, Trantifa. That's a real thing. They have an Antifa flag, and instead of the black and white Marxist symbol flag, they have the same flag, but it's black and red panties because they're trans. So not making this up. That's what's going on, folks. That's what's going on. So check these people out. I've also been thinking about, per a suggestion from more than one viewer to these videos, that I should be doing a podcast. I don't know what I can get away with on YouTube. Well, I do, but I don't know if they would allow me to do it. So what I would do is I would make a separate channel apart from the one I'm using. Then I would tell you what it is. And I may start doing a podcast from home. There's enough equipment now where anybody can do any kind of contributions. It'll be a learning process for me as far as bringing stuff up on video. I need to get some kind of software. I don't even know what to use, but there's a lot of free tools and ones you can buy. There's all kinds of stuff. And then you can just start doing your own studio stuff at home. Now we'll get some Halloween decorations coming up here. And The reason why I say that is, you know, we don't need the media anymore. We can be the media. We can talk about this stuff. We get free speech. And I think citizens should be given all of their different opinions. Even the people I don't agree with, I think if you have a public square of ideas, the best ideas will always make sense to people. So it's very democratic. Look at this setup here. Look at this. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So I think a lot of people, you know, like in the App Store, there's an app called Prism. Prism is pretty good. I tried using it, and it removed the stabilization on my cell phone. And I tried to live stream a walk, and picture quality was good. It worked well, but what happened is while I was walking, everything was shaking, moving around, because it removed the stability that was built in my phone, because it was going through their software, and I don't know why it removed it. So maybe there's been an upgrade since then. So I'm going to check this stuff out, and but I definitely like the idea of podcasting, streaming with Prism, P-R-I-S-M, Prism, and it's free. It's a free download, and you can live stream through your phone anywhere. So I could actually mount the camera steadily. You can also live stream through the YouTube app at home. So there's all kinds of things that you can do for free. Have a live chat with people that show up. Well, there's a lot of people doing that. It's a big ocean of people to get into to actually get a following. But I think if you just talk about relevant topics and you can speak, there's a lot of things people do. They and ah, and they pause and delay, and oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. This, oh, wait. People don't like that. So I would be more professional about it. I do have a lot of radio experience. You know, another thing people do is they'll say, I have a lot of radio experience. And then I go, yeah, so, yep. You know, they use that to fill up the gap, and that's not how people talk, professionally anyway. Yeah, they reaffirm what they just said. I don't know why people do that. It's very strange to me when they do that. But we will. I'm definitely thinking I'm going to be doing something, because it's something that's important. We've got elections coming up next year, and I think independent media is going to be a big deal. Mainstream media is dead. Nobody watches it anymore. The biggest viewing audiences are by Fox News, and they don't even have the viewership they used to. So people are moving on to independent media. It's where it's at. And, you know, you're not sure how effective that is, and you might doubt what I'm saying. Well, you get Jack Posobiec, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Laura Loomer. Those are just some of the big names. Tucker Carlson, Bill O'Reilly. All of these people were in mainstream media. Now they're doing independent media. That's just where the future is. So I would highly recommend people checking out things away from mainstream media. Now, there is a risk with that, okay? People can give misinformation. They honestly believe it when they're saying it. But people like Candace Owens is a friggin' lunatic. I don't know what happened to her, but she's gone over the moon friggin' nuts. Conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. And I think she's just doing it for profit. Because I don't think she honestly believes that stuff. You know, everything that goes wrong in the world, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. Everything. So, anyway, I gotta use the restroom here. And when I come out, night vision will be on. It'll be like magic. Watch what happens. All right, see that? Just like magic. So because we got a cold front, it's a lot cooler. The air is fresh, crisp, clean Canadian air. And it is. The air is absolutely pure. It did not smell as bad as it could have in the public commode. So anyway, it is dusk. It's dusking out. So we're going to have some very interesting big things happen this week. I got every indication today that people are going to be charged or arrested in the police department. Specifically, whoever it was that made that phone call, they have the phone records of it, so they know who made the calls. They just haven't said officially yet. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens with Chicago. Because we can't allow them to do this to the federal government, because this is insurrection. It's insurrection by definition. You're obstructing the federal government for politics. That's, you know, that is insurrection. Some nice Halloween decor here. And a lit up spider web. I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of Stephen Miller and the Trump administration. That man is brilliant. He knows the law. He knows how all of this stuff works. He knows all about Antifa. He knows all about this stuff. The financiers. What a damn time to be alive, my friends. All I'm going to say, as far as the Trump administration goes, we have yet to be entertained. We've got some incredible things going on. That's going to happen soon, very soon. And I told you a month and a half ago, I said we're going to be on a wild ride. It's going to be something new almost every day. Things are going to happen fast. James Comey appeared in court today, I believe. Pled not guilty. Might have been yesterday. So many things going on. I can't even keep track of everything. Think about that. Absolutely amazing. Hoo yeah. So I was very happy with the bathroom scale today, which is nice. I like having my weight in the 220s. Very happy about that. So the other thing too right now with this government shutdown is people that work in the public parks, federal public parks, are on furlough. They're not working, they're not getting paid. So the person that's at the gate to take money when you go to a national park is not working. So I assume the gates are closed and you can't use the national parks. And I also assume, well, I don't assume, it's true, the part of the Aviation and Safety Board have been furloughed and they're not at work. So a lot of these are the people that do the detailed inspections of planes, responsible for inspections for safety, are at home. So that means nobody's doing what they should be to keep planes safe. And there's already been a couple instances where flights had to circle around and wait, keep circling, because of not having enough air traffic controllers staffed, and it was getting too busy. Which, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you are increasing the odds of an air accident just simply by people being overworked. So, personally myself, unless somebody absolutely has to, now would not be a good time to fly. That's my opinion, especially when I heard that today about the safety inspection people being sent home. So when I left and started this walk, it was 58. My app says by the time I get back, it's going to be 51, 52, as soon as the sun goes down. Starting to feel like that. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt with a shirt over that. I'm wearing a hoodie. So, you know, that's a good dog owner. They saw somebody was coming on this side, and they decided to cross the street. Because a lot of times dogs will bark at people. Even though a lot of times the dogs are nice, like the ones we saw earlier. That beautiful husky. See, that person knows their dog. See, that owner right there knows their dog. He was keeping a good grip on him. That tells me that he knows the dog would attack somebody. Some dogs are like that. That doesn't mean the dog would attack me, but that one did not have a happy tail. You can always tell with the dogs because you can tell by their tail. So despite it being cool and chilly, I do have a sweat going, but it's a cold sweat because it's a little breezy. So you start sweating and your clothing gets wet, and then the wind makes you feel cold. So you're definitely not going to overheat. So I will say it again. What a damn time to be alive. Now, something I didn't do before walking today is I didn't delete the previous walk from the memory card. So I may or may not have enough time for the whole walk. I'll have to stop and open up the app and delete yesterday's walk. Now you can delete video from the phone, not the phone but the GoPro, but a lot of times what happens is it will end up, you can't like just do one chapter and delete that and then the next one. It'll actually delete everything you've recorded unless you use the app. And I don't want to erase what I recorded tonight to get here, because then I won't have any video. Nothing. So we're going to walk up this way and we'll get a shot of these people's Halloween decor on their lawn. Time for me to dig out my lit up pumpkin. Probably get a pumpkin this week coming up. Next time I do some shopping. I usually carve a jack-o'-lantern, and I always make a traditional one. I don't do all of these stencils, and I just get a knife and I carve a jack-o'-lantern. Traditional one. A traditional one like this one here in between these lights. That is a traditional jack-o'-lantern. Then we got Tim Burton's Nightmare movie. Guy leaning over. He's listing. Alright, I think I should log in and delete the memory card right now. That took way too long. I gotta remember to delete videos before I start walking. That's it. Anyways, my friends, hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful evening tonight. Halloween is going to be coming up. About 3 weeks. Today's the 8th. Today is the 8th. So the other thing too I want to mention is, all right, I'm doing a walking vlog like pretty much daily, right? Weather permitting. So, you know, don't feel obligated like you have to watch every damn walk. You don't. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's, you know, I understand. There's other channels I watch. What the hell's her name? Amanda Druin. Amanda Druin. She has a good hiking channel. She does a lot of mountain hiking, trail hiking, and she does a good job. She edits her videos. They're a lot shorter than mine. And I say that because I understand it's a chore to sit there through an hour-and-a-half video of some guy running his mouth while he's walking, which is fine. You can check it out if you like, or not. I can skip through it, speed ahead, whatever you want to do. It's okay. Pick up parts of it. Whatever you want to do, it's fine. I'm not monetized. I don't make a dime. I just do this because I like it. Something to do while I'm walking every day. Keeps me entertained. And hopefully it's stuff that people want to talk about. Feel free to leave any comments. There's another channel on YouTube called Doobie and Gooby. It's either Doobie and Gooby or Gooby and Doobie, one or the other. This guy out in Washington State, he was a neurosurgeon, doesn't do it anymore. I have no idea why. I haven't watched enough of his channel. He's got 500,000 subscribers, so he's got a pretty good sized channel. But a lot of times he'll just sit there for an hour, hour and a half sometimes longer, just talking about philosophical things. So at least when I'm doing this, I'm walking, and that guy is just talking about philosophical things like, do you really die? Talking about things like, you know, like he was talking about this, you know, like something happens where you get an arrhythmia and your heart stops. Well, the blood flow to your brain cuts off and you just pass out. So you don't really experience death. So I was like, whatever. If you're a Christian and stuff like that, none of that makes sense to you anyway. So anyway, he was talking about stuff like that. But basically though, one theme he's been talking about in all his videos, and I don't know if he thinks people are dumb, but he doesn't want to come right out and call out Donald Trump and bullies and things like that. So he'll use these examples. Like, let's say you have a neighbor, he said, and this neighbor is doing bad, evil things to your other neighbors. Why do people allow that, he's saying. And this person doing the evil things has other people in the neighborhood that follow what he's doing. They don't seem to question it, and they're doing evil and they're hurting people. Well, he's trying to avoid politics, but he's fucking talking about Donald Trump, you know? People aren't that stupid. Why don't you just have the balls to come out and say it on your channel, like I do? So, I was going to give this guy a follow, and based on that, nah, he's a coward. He's another one of these, sit around the campfire singing Kumbaya. You know, the whole world should be beautiful and we should love one another. Well, the fact is, this planet's infested with humans, and a lot of the times we just end up fucking hating each other. We hate the tribe next door. Stay the fuck away from my stuff. Your shit's over there. That's the reality of it. That's how we evolved, okay? So, I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's, you know, but you're expecting people, okay, we've developed language, communication. We're still in our infancy with that. So, perfect example is an appendix. Everybody has an appendix. It has no biological purpose whatsoever other than to cause some people problems where they could die when it gets infected. And their appendix will burst. And for the longest time, people died from it. You know, teenage kid get appendicitis. and their appendix would burst and they would die. They didn't know how to do surgery. They didn't even know what the hell that was. Oh, he's got that thing going on. Well, that's it for him. He'll either come through it or he won't. So, as far as humans evolving to being quote-unquote kind and loving one another, well, as a Christian, there's good and there's evil. So evil is always going to be evil. It has to be defeated with good. You don't defeat evil with evil. Now, President Trump is not perfect, but he's not evil. He's not a fascist. He's not a dictator. He's none of that. He's an outsider. He's an outsider that came in from outside the corrupt uniparty system. And you have to remember that there is a uniparty. You have a lot of Republicans elected to office that would love nothing more than for Trump to just get the fuck out of there, get out of the way. Some of them were probably disappointed Trump wasn't assassinated, and they're Republicans. They're not going to say it, they're not going to show it, but they want him out of the way. They want things to go back the way they were with the uniparty, the corruption, wives and husbands getting rich on insider trading, stock options, and NGOs, non-governmental organizations, okay? That's what an NGO is. You hear about them all the time. That'll be somebody that will be promoting Planned Parenthood, for example, and a senator's wife will be on a board member of this nonprofit, and they will get millions of dollars in tax dollars because of their senator husband. This has been going on for too long, and the Trump administration is putting an end to this bullshit, and they don't like it. Salute the flag every time I go by here. So this corruption has been going on for a long time. Military-industrial complex, that's another one. Government contracting. And all these people are making millions and millions of dollars, while you have veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder living in public housing in Portland, Oregon, having to deal with assholes outside at 3 o'clock in the morning calling Trump a fascist and ICE fascist while they're trying to get some fucking sleep and peace and quiet because they have PTSD and real problems. So, and you know, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, you can't hate these people enough, because this fucking guy comes on YouTube singing Kumbaya. He can't even just come out and say, because he's a fucking coward, what he thinks. He's not going to take a stand. He's not going to be political, but he's going to talk about politics anyway without naming names. And that is a bullshitter, a very weak person. No credibility in my book. I would respect somebody more just coming out on their channel. I fucking hate Donald Trump. Fuck this, fuck that, fuck him, fuck you for liking him. I got more respect for those people than guys like that. So, I make no secrets on this channel. I say what I want to say. I don't hold anything back. All I do is I preach no violence. Never, ever, 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 ever get violent. No violence, nothing, zero. Do what Jesus would do, okay? Doesn't mean I have to like these people. I fucking hate these people. They're ruining our country. And these weak, mealy-mouthed fucking liberals, they're not even liberals, they're leftists. There's a difference. I can respect a liberal. They just have a different view. They just, well, the government should be paying for homeless housing. They should be paying for the poor to eat. They should be paying for all this other stuff. Now, I can respect somebody that wants that. But, you know, a sane liberal would say, okay, well, how are we going to pay for that? If we raise taxes, then businesses are going to have a hard time with that. We got to find an equilibrium there. Try to make everybody happy, democratically. These fucking leftists don't think that way. You get this, we're gonna take your money, we're gonna force you to give your money to these causes. You're gonna use the tax dollars to fund the media because we need to push our narratives. And we're gonna fund this, we're gonna fund that. We're gonna take from the rich and give it to the poor. And, you know, and they use that as a narrative. Well, who wouldn't want to give money to the poor? Well, somebody that's worked their whole life and built up a business, they're already paying high taxes, higher tax rates than a lot of other countries, and you want to take more. The 1% have to pay for everybody else. Well, that's wealth distribution. That is, by definition, socialism. So you can't turn around and say you're not a socialist or a communist, because that's what you're fucking doing. Look at the Bolsheviks. And that revolution that happened. All of these communist revolutions start with, we need to stand up for the working man. The working man. We got to take from the rich and give to the poor. The working man. Then after they get power, you're still fucked. They don't give a shit about you. And in fact, if you dissent against the government, you end up in Siberia in a work camp. So, you know, and by the way, the education system in Russia, a lot of these professors that they used to con all these young people themselves ended up in Siberia in work camps. Law enforcement officers that helped them accomplish what they were going to do ended up in the work camps or put to death because they were useful at the time. Now they know all the secrets. Now they want their favors. Now they want to be repaid for what they've done. And they were done away with. And they brought in their own people from inside. Hitler did kind of the same thing. They were more kind of socialist though, not communist. They hated the communists. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And so there's a lot of very interesting stuff to read. And I like to think about a lot of things. And you know, that's not to say that this Doobie and Gooby or Gooby and Doobie, whatever the hell his channel is a bad guy. He's not. He's nice. He's not a jerk. He's just weak. I just can't stand people like that. So anyway, you know, he was talking about horseshoe crabs. And it takes him a long time to explain things. It's like he's sitting there contemplating, you're looking, and you're like, well, we're waiting, get on with it. So anyway, basically he's talking about horseshoe crabs. And he was talking about how they swim. They turn upside down, and their feet do this, and they swim upside down. Then when they find a spot they want to go, they flip over, and they're bottom feeders, just like a lobster. So, having a good workout tonight. So anyway, the horseshoe crab, I did not know this, but they have blue blood. And they're being harvested because there's no shortage of them. And the thing is these things have been around since before dinosaurs. And then basically, if you look at an old fossil from before there was dinosaurs compared to now, they really have not changed much. They've not evolved very much at all. They're virtually the same as they were. So you basically have this perfect organism that almost looks like a face hugger in the Alien movies. And it's been around for millions and millions of years. Before dinosaurs, It hasn't changed. And you saw a couple of them on my channel when I went to the ocean a month and a half, 2 months ago. And picked one up so you could look at it. And they really haven't changed. But what's interesting is the reason why they're being harvested is because their blood has a chemical in it. I don't know the name of the chemical. I'm not a chemist. Could care less, really. But the properties of it is that you can turn it into something that, well, let's say you have medical equipment that's been sterilized and you want to make sure it's sterilized. The chemical in the horseshoe crab's blood will actually tell you if there's any contaminants. I don't know how that works, but that's what they use it for. So they've been harvesting these horseshoe crabs for that purpose. There's no shortage of them, so there's nothing like they're ever going to become extinct. But things sometimes do become extinct. Like chestnut tree. This occurred to me yesterday. Earlier today, actually, I was thinking about this. I was like, where the hell did all the chestnut trees go? I'm 57. When I was 7 years old, 50 years ago, every friggin' street had chestnuts. We even have a chestnut street that actually had chestnut trees on it. All the woods hiking I've done, all the walking I've done, all the neighborhoods I've walked through, I have yet to come across a chestnut tree. So I was like, what the fuck happened to the chestnuts? So I researched it, I looked it up, and sure enough, there's a disease called blight, B-L-I-G-H-T, blight, and it kills chestnut trees. It's an Asian fungus, toxic to trees, to chestnut trees. It came from Asia. It was introduced in the early 1900s. So during the Industrial Revolution, where we did not have a EPA that monitored invasive species and possible problems from other countries, and once you have that problem, you have a difficult time fixing it. Now you might think, okay, well, the chestnut trees are gone, but what happened is there was a type of rabbit that ate a lot of those chestnuts, and they survived on them, and now they're extinct. So that type of rabbit is gone now because of that. And it fed squirrels, it fed deer, it fed tons of other animals. And so it's part of the ecosystem that was very important. So there was a project that started in the 1990s. They're still doing it. What they're doing is they developed seedlings that genetically would resist blight. And they're reintroducing chestnuts into Maine. There's four counties in Maine where they do have chestnut trees. And these are the new chestnut trees that were reintroduced. It takes several years for them to grow. But we're going to have chestnut trees again. So I just wanted to share that with you because they found a solution to the problem using science. And unfortunately, the species that went extinct that fed off chestnuts is not coming back. So, just something I was thinking about. I like to think about things, and then I checked it out. So, we're going to have chestnuts again. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, right? Well, unless you're in New England and all the chestnuts are fucking gone, it's not going to happen. So, you know, 4, maybe 5 years ago, I remember seeing chestnuts on the ground in their little spiky pods, green pods, just like when I was a kid. I have not seen that in at least the last 4 years. They said it's gotten worse. And they said the main problem is with blight is it kills the tree, but it doesn't penetrate into the roots. So the roots in the ground, because chestnut trees have an immense root system, so they can actually live, the root system, stay active underground, but whenever a new sapling tries to grow from those roots, blight kills it, so it never gets restarted. So they want to introduce, with the modern scientific chestnut trees, which they have perfected, and they are planting those. It costs money to do that, and they're getting somewhere. So we'll watch, see what happens. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Thought that was interesting. So apparently that's prevalent through all of New England. New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland. Nobody's got chestnut trees anymore. And they've all disappeared relatively recently. So I don't understand that, because they said that the Asian blight was introduced in the early 1900s. Well, why did it take until the 1990s into the 2000s to finally take its toll on those? That I don't know. But I'm just letting you know what I read. So anyway, I'm gonna head up here. I'm gonna turn the camera around because I'm gonna have to put the flashlight on my cell phone on, as we see some Halloween decor across the street. It lights up in cycles, see, just like that. So we'll go up this way. There we go. There we go. Got my flashlight on, you can see on my phone. Now we'll walk this way. So I didn't know I was going to be talking about horseshoe crabs and chestnut trees, but that's what happens walking with J.Beau. My stomach's growling. Getting hungry. I'll wrap up the final portion of this walk today. I watched a cool movie last night called Companion. Very interesting. I went into it blind, didn't know anything about it. It's a movie that opened up in the theaters in 2025 in January. Probably a limited release. It's smaller, independent. But it was surprisingly good. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I would recommend not watching the trailer, because the trailer gives too much information, and I think you'll enjoy it more if you know nothing about the movie when you watch it. I have to go off to the side here. Car coming up behind me. Got some leaves blowing tonight. This feels like an early winter chill. That's what it feels like tonight. Off to the side here. Hear a car coming up behind me. I always play it safe and go off the road. Just like this. That's why I have a flashlight, so I can see if there's any holes. Now, we were supposed to get soaked in rain. It was supposed to rain like a mother. Well, it did in northern Maine, or the upper half of Maine. But the lower third, it's actually 2/3 of Maine got soaked. The third of Maine towards the coast got some rain, kind of showers. Didn't get any serious downpours. We were supposed to get over a ½ inch of rain, and we did not come anywhere near that. So, but it did rain. Now that front has gone by, it's definitely markedly cooler. Not cold enough for gloves yet, but that's coming soon. And I'll be switching to a knit cap instead of my ball cap, which in my case, it's a hockey cap. So I'm gonna get this tree here with apples in it. Now this is oh, 2 deer right here. There they go. Well, they were literally 20 feet away from me. They look further than that on here, but they didn't see me. They just took off. I wanted to keep angled on them so they didn't run across the road in front of cars. Yep, they did not see me. But a lot of times I've come right through here and right here in front of me. There'd be 2, 3 deer. It'd scare the crap out of me. Very dark right here with no street light. So I saw 2 deer. Oh dear. A car coming up behind, so I'm going to come off here on the side of the road. I just hit 5 miles. So all right, I can turn the flashlight off now. There we go. Good thing about wearing a hoodie is now I can put my cell phone in my kangaroo pouch on my hoodie. Kangaroo pouch. Yep. Alrighty. I'll probably sign off at this street light up here. I've done that before. So trying to keep the video length to around an hour and a half. So anyways, my friends, I want to say thank you very much for walking with me. Thanks for walking with J.Beau. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. Say a prayer for Trump and the country, and pray that we can get law and order in this damn country. That should be coming up soon. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens. And anyways, my friends, as always, be good to one another. Don't be violent. Don't take the bait of the left. Stay true to your convictions. Whether you're a Christian or anybody else on this planet, or a non-believer, stick to your convictions and morality and what you know is right, and always abide by the Constitution. Let them call you a fascist for enforcing the laws if they want. They're not going to have free reign to ruin this country just because they feel, oh, we should be helping these people. Well, people should be coming here legally. We got people that come into this country illegally, and they usurp ahead in line of immigrants coming here legally. It takes people 10 years to become a citizen sometimes. They come here, they got to establish what they're doing for a career, and can't get in trouble with the law. And it takes 10 years to go through the whole naturalization process because they want to be an American. And then you get these fucking assholes in the cartels human trafficking people over the border for money and just depositing them. And you know, we've seen, we had a Hindu family, northern New Hampshire, coming across the border. They were dumped off in the middle of the winter and they weren't dressed properly, and the whole family froze coming across the border because the temperature was about 0, you know, and they weren't used to that, and they were being deposited on the Canadian side because our border is open with Canada even now. There's nothing in between. So a lot of times people will come over on a snowmobile or trekking with snowshoes, whatever, and it's very dangerous. It's dangerous. If you're from Maine, you know how dangerous it can be out in the woods in the wintertime, especially at night. You know, like right here, I got a street light, okay, I can see everything, but at night, when there's no moon, it's literally pitch black. You can't see anything. You'll walk right into a tree that's 2 inches in front of your face and you just don't see it. So these people were left not dressed properly, and it was cold and dark, and they got lost and they died. And it's terrible, and it's happened a lot. So anyway, we want people to come here legally because it's safe for the people. You're not getting children sold into slavery, into sex slavery. Children are being sold to be exploited and raped on camera, and people pay for that, okay? That's the reality of what's happening. So you can't sit around a campfire and say, oh, kumbaya. We got to stop being mean to these people. It's evil. Yeah, well, this is killing good people. This immigration thing has to stop, and it has been stopped on the southern border. That's what I voted for. I didn't vote for a fascist king dictator in Washington, D.C. named Trump. I voted to close the border because these children are being exploited. Almost all the women that came across the border were exploited, raped, or sold into white slavery Hispanic slavery, black slavery, whatever they are, they're being exploited. So we need to protect the people. This is good for everybody. And because of the media poisoning everybody's common sense, they think it's something else. And what do you do about that? You don't know anything about it until you actually check it out, and using independent media mostly. And you know, you see a lot of film footage that's tough to see, but that's really what happens. So my eyes are open and awake. I'm informed. I don't know what to tell you. I don't watch, you know, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, all these terrible propaganda networks, and that's what they are. They don't tell the truth. So anyways, I'm going to sign off, say God bless you, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next Walking with J.Beau. Stay safe, everybody, and be good to one another. God bless you.